Hi, I'm Bran, and I love, and I've always known this about me, VH1 Christmas movies.
I'm Dan, and I've always known this about me. I despise VH1 Christmas movies.
I'm Alonzo. I kind of forgot VH1 Christmas movies were a thing, and this
is the
Deck the Hallmark podcast.
Deck the Hallmark, it's his podcast. Brandon and friends host his podcast.
We hope you like this jolly podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the intro real quick just for a second.
Once a week where I hear the intro because I've got in-ear in so I can hear Alonzo, and I'm like, why did we do this?
I have a theory that the first part of it is it's Bran singing but trying to sound like Brian Harold. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's just...
That's funny.
Brian wishes.
Brian wishes.
Brian wishes. So that VH1 Christmas movie has been a thing, Mr. Christmas movie historian?
Back at about... it's like 2000, I think, like at the turn of the millennium, there was a Divas Christmas Carol starring Vanessa Williams, which was actually quite funny and really good, and was sort of one of my favorite of the TV movie Scrooge is a Ruthless Career Woman. That's the movie where the ghost of Christmas Yet to Come is played by an episode of VH1's Behind the Music that is very unflattering. Like, that's a really funny bit. But beyond that, and actually I think they're doing a sequel to like a new Divas Christmas Carol this year with somebody else. But beyond that, I don't know that VH1 has necessarily been a powerhouse in the Christmas department. But last year they did put out
an 8 out or like
and I think they even started getting into holidays that we don't normally see American television like addressed. Like I'm going to mispronounce as EID, whatever that Eid. I think it's a holiday that they did a movie around that. So. They're in it to win it.
Can you give me any more information about the holiday called Eid?
Oh man, I'm showing my whole ass here for not having the full. I was not ready.
How dare you not
this.
know more about Eid?
All right, hang on.
I know what it is. It's Eid al-Fitr, and it lasts from Friday, April 21st. To Saturday, April 22nd. It's the earlier of two official holidays celebrated within Islam.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other being Eid al-Adha. It's a religious holiday celebrated by Muslims worldwide because it marks the end of the month-long dawn to sunset fasting of Ramadan.
I do know that one. Got it. All right. Great. Well,
thank you for your quick draw on Wikipedia, Dan.
And Alonzo, where can those people email you, call you out on that?
How dare you not know all the holidays for everyone, Alonzo?
Exactly. I'm a bad atheist. What can I tell you?
Have yourself a movie Little Holiday is what it should have been called.
Yeah. You know what was nice about this though? It was a VH1 movie, but it was still a Johnson production. And it's always good.
A very Big Johnson.
Big Johnson. Yes, Big Johnson out there strutting his stuff everywhere else.
That's right.
Even VH1.
Even MTV getting involved with Big.
You love to see that. You love to see that. You guys want to break it down?
Would love to.
Adventures in Christmasing is really I put these ones in a hat and I just pulled one. This is the one that won out the VH1 crop. There wasn't one that was like the VH1's doing this, and also some other ones. It was like,
how many did they do?
They did like 8.
What?
Yes.
They did.
God, life is meaningless.
And I think half of them were produced by Nick Cannon.
Yeah.
There's enough Johnson to go around. November 29th, 2021 on VH1 is when it aired, and it went a little something like this. The movie kicks off with a woman trying to rock climb. It's not looking good. We're all nervous. Cut to 1 week prior. That woman is Parker Baldwin. Yes. We love her. She's a talk show host and she's interviewing, you guessed it, Luda. And it is hard-hitting stuff. This isn't your traditional ludicrous interview. This is Parker Baldwin. she gets stuff out of people that no one else does. After the show, she finds out that tomorrow's guest has been changed. Instead, Finn Holt is coming.
What?
And you might be asking, Finn Holt?
The Finn Holt?
Are they going to be able to handle this? Finn Holt is a huge deal. Parker says, I don't have time to prepare for an interview with the biggest celebrity in the world, Finn Holt. Apparently, Finn is like an adventure star who also is incredibly, incredibly famous. Zip lines over the crowd on the Parker Baldwin show onto the stage. She starts the interview and he just kind of like hits on her in a weird way. But then the interview gets really serious. I know that because there's some haunting piano music that lets us know this is serious. He brought a ferret, which is also, fun. It's a fun interview. Everybody had a good time, but Parker is not pleased. Parker once again says, I didn't have time to prepare. This is Finn. She wanted hard-hitting journalism. All she got was ferret. After the interview, Finn is with his producer. He has one at all times. And he gets a call, and he's like, this is interesting news. Apparently, the network wants Parker to go on Finn's show for a holiday special. A holiday wilderness special. I'm sure they'll pull it off. Parker is less than thrilled by this, but her hands are tied because the person upstairs, I don't know if they're talking about God. I don't know if they're talking about someone else, but they've said it is so. So it is so. So she spends the night packing and then reading about Finn in the bathtub. She's in the bathtub.
Reading about Finn while she's in the bathtub.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Finn is spending the night watching clips of Parker in the bathtub. No, no one's doing.
There isn't a book or video of anyone in the bathtub in this movie.
But either way, they're not hating the research. I'll tell you that much. Immediately, she's out of her element, and she has to rappel out of a helicopter. She says, "Can someone show me?" He says, "No, you're first." Goes down. She does okay, but she loses her dad's hat. They build shelter and then go fishing. She catches a fish. She's pumped, but then a bird comes, takes it. She decides, I will chase the bird. So she runs after the bird, falls into the freezing cold water. She tries to stand up and she says, my legs. Cut to commercial break. Her legs are fine. She's by a fire. It's all good, everybody. Just don't really, you didn't even really need to worry about it here. And so they're hanging out by a fire and they're having a good time, but then they hear some howling. And to scare off those big boys, they do some Christmas caroling. And that works. Apparently, she doesn't have a change of pants.
That's not in the movie. That's a wait what, but that's not. She doesn't say that in the movie.
Well, she didn't change her
indicated.
pants.
Yeah,
she didn't change her pants.
Yeah, she did not.
So instead of continuing the trek, they find a cabin in the woods. Luckily, she decorates it for Christmas with some Christmassy colored ferns that you can find if you look hard enough at Christmas. They drink together. He talks about his dad. They sleep next to each other as an absolute power ballad plays. Just an absolute jam. And we don't get to the chorus. It's all rise, it's all rise. Cut to commercial. The next day, she wakes up. She decides to go get her own food and ends up getting lost. He goes after her. Hurt her legs. A coyote then is there. He shows up, scares it off. It's serious stuff. They find hot springs, though, which is good because his leg has been all scraped up. It's got a big old gash. And so she's like, these are healing hot springs. Let's get in the hot springs. And so they get in the hot springs. And it's a little steamy time.
Yeah,
a little steamy time, and not just because of
literally and figuratively,
not just because they're hot springs.
That's right.
They fall asleep in a cave. She has a dream that they are no longer just sleeping. And but then she's woken up by the cave shaking and falling in on itself. He says, we got to go. They get out. And now they've only got a couple hours to get to the extraction point. And so they get to the extraction point, but they have to rappel down. And he's like, I'm not going to be able to help you this time. I still got the gashed knee. Hot springs only did so much. And so you're going to have to learn what you did up there at the helicopter, rappel down. So she does that. She gets in a helicopter. He sits on the top of the mountain, waves goodbye. Back in the city, Parker Bowen goes on TV. She's very excited to promote that she's going to be on the Christmas episode of Finn's show. Here's a preview. They show a preview. It is just stunning stuff. Amazing. We can't wait for it. And she's like, you know what? What I learned about this is sometimes you have to be spontaneous. Going out on the streets. Billy on the streets. And so she does the whole Billy on the street thing. She walks out in front of her studio, and she's going to go try to find Finn, who is back to stateside, by the way, for those of you that were worried about him. And so she is trying to get a taxi. No taxi there. The producer pulls up, and he says, oh, my gosh, I just dropped him off at the seaport. You can't catch him now. But she says, just watch me. Calls a taxi. Taxi shows up. Guess who's inside that taxi? It's Finn. Finn comes out. They talk about how much they like each other and adventures and stuff. And they kiss and they kiss and they kiss and they kiss some more. And that, my friends, was Adventures in Christmasing.
We did it. I don't know what we need to do after that. Like, I feel like if you heard that, you heard all of it. You watched the movie, you heard the hot takes, you heard the wait what's. We've done it. I feel like we could say Merry Christmas and call it.
I don't think we should, though. I think we should still have a fun time. I think we should take a break first and then come back with the hot takes, maybe some hot springs, etc. You're on Deck the Hallmark. We're back. Hi, everyone. Hey. Welcome back, everybody. It's great to be here. The month of October is here. Christmas season is brewing. We're getting started with some 2021 Christmas movies. Getting choked up just thinking about it. Let's talk about Adventures in Christmasing. VH1 2021. Alonzo, hot take. Give it to us.
Okay, I needed some context first from you guys because this is one of those things where our TV nostalgia is very different. We are of different generations. What is your go-to on Kim Fields? When you see her, what do you think of, or do you at all?
I don't go to Kim Fields because I don't know who she is.
I also do not know who Kim Fields is.
Okay, just checking because, like if you were somewhat younger than me, like you would be all about living single. For me, it's the fact. It's the facts of life. So like my thought of this whole movie was that it should have been called Tootie versus Wild, but that's just me.
She was also Martin, wasn't she?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think she was.
Yeah, I think she had a recurring on that one as well. Yeah. So she's been around. She's a lifer. She's been doing this since she was very young, and knows what she's doing here. This movie is, it does what it says on the box, I guess. It's basically Oprah and Bear Grylls have a Christmas adventure is the idea here. But
boy, would I pay to see that.
Yeah, but you really have to pretend like you have no idea how television works at all, much less how the wilderness works. But I didn't hate it mainly because I think that she and Adrian Holmes, who you might remember from The Christmas Doctor,
I do,
wind up having decent chemistry, and they went out somewhere to shoot this thing that was clearly woodsy. Like I have not watched all those waterfall movies. Is that what this is?
Probably.
The
This is Johnson filming in the forest again.
This
Same
did
bit.
seem like Big Johnson's backyard, but the water seemed different in this one, which could have been color correction. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's the same forest that Big films all the movies in. That's what I think.
So I'll give them points for ambition on this one. I think they really try to sort of make this a big, grand, sweeping outdoor affair. But a lot of it's kind of dumb too.
I would wager to say Alonzo may be the most outdoorsy of the three of us. That's how Bran and I despise. Like I'll play a round of golf, but that is it. Like I'm good.
Then you got me licked because believe me, if I can't camp somewhere that has room service, forget it.
That's right. We're all in the same boat there.
Yeah.
Which is to say, not in a boat at all.
That's right. Ever.
I enjoyed the two leads. I thought that they were fun. The thing that I didn't anticipate, and I should have, was doing a movie outdoors in the woods leaves a lot of Christmas to be desired. I should have. That's on me. I should have thought about that. This was a very random attempt to make an outdoorsy movie Christmassy. It was truly an interesting thing to try to do. I think the thing that I'm most furious at is the lack of Kel Mitchell in this movie.
Oh man,
which might not mean anything to you, Alonzo, but Kel Mitchell is everything.
When you see that name come on the screen, you're like, oh, it's one of the first.
Welcome to Good Burger.
You're gonna get a lot of Kel Mitchell,
and I don't get almost any Kel Mitchell, and so I was very upset about that. But I did really like the two leads, and I didn't have a bad time. We
laughed a lot.
We laughed a lot. I had a good time, but this isn't like as bad as a couple of the other ones we reviewed so far in this series of 2021.
Oh heavens, no!
Oh gosh, no!
So like it was good. Johnson, it's Johnson. It's Johnson. And so I had a good time. The two leads were great, but I left wanting in regards to Kel Mitchell.
I did recognize Jonathan Silverman from Weekend at Bernie's in this movie for what that I did a triple take. I went, is that Jonathan Silverman randomly showing up in a Christmas film on VH1? Sure is. Yeah, I feel like you're going to know the name of this, Alonzo, and I meant to look it up and just didn't. There was a Idris Elba, Kate Winslet movie, like Place Between the Snow, and we're stuck in the woods. And
the mountain of something.
Yeah. Mountain Between Us.
The Mountains Between Us. And I look at Brand knew the title of the movie. And
wait, is that actually real though?
Didn't know it. He saw it. Is it the Mountains Between Us?
I think he's making it up. Hold on, I'm pulling it up now.
No, if he gets this right.
Come on, man. You can't for 1 second.
The Mountain Between Us. You're right.
Oh my gosh, Brand.
Yeah, I saw it.
You want to give an acceptance speech or what?
I want to thank my wife for making me go to see that with her.
Dan, when you've seen only 4 movies, it's easy to remember the titles.
That's fair. I felt like someone saw that movie and was like, well, what if we Christmas it up and try to do our own thing with it? And
make it Johnson.
We just call Johnson. Get big on the phone. And I've never produced any TV in my life. But
that you know of.
That I know of. But I've been around a lot of TV producers, not only because we've appeared on numerous TV stations, but also because we've produced a little live TV here in the studio. And I'm offended on behalf of all of those people for whatever this was, because it is just embarrassing to think that this is how TV is made. If you watch this and thought this is how TV was made, you would think it was like for people that didn't want to finish middle school. And they just were like, you know what? I know Algebra 1's around the bend. Let me just go ahead and produce TV instead.
Are you suggesting that a world famous adventure guy would go into the woods with one dude and one lady medic, and then his only contact back in civilization would be Jonathan Silverman?
Jonathan Silverman, Weekend at Bernie's, Jonathan Silverman. And they would make just some, imagine if Oprah and Bear Grylls went on a trip and Bear Grylls made Oprah just free jump out of a helicopter with no training. Just was like, all right, Oprah, I know that you've got gifts, but now you've got one rope, and I hope that you can hold on. Like, that is just...
Gail is not helping.
Yeah, it's just absurd, man. Like, it was hard for me to wrap my brain around what they were trying to accomplish in this movie, but it is not the worst thing we've seen in this season that we've been doing here. And for that, I tip my hat. The guy that made this made the Christmas ring, Tony something. I don't remember his last name. Troy Scott, that's it. I got confused with Tony Scott, director as well. Yeah. So yeah, it's not good. It's really, really bad, but it's a fun bad, not a bad bad.
There you go. Yeah. It's time for all the feels, where we talk about what in this movie gave us his feels. Alonzo?
I do like the word cluster yuck. I'm going to start maybe using that in front of, family members, but I'll tell you what my phone wanted to autofill it as, but it didn't.
You don't want to show your whole ass.
I have to say, as dopey as the idea of let's have a campfire sing along to scare the wolves away was, I'm kind of glad that they did it. It was one of the few Christmassy moments of this Christmas movie. So give me something here, Daniel. Yeah, that was about it. And then I think that I will say the dialogue wasn't doing anybody any favors, but Kim Fields and Adrian Holmes were giving each other hot face, they were looking at each other in a way that really makes that relationship mean something in a way that nothing they actually said does.
Yeah,
like when she's about to repel the last time and she's like, what's the fourth thing? And he's like, always have a good meal. It was not something romantic. It's just the way that they said stuff. It was right on. Yeah. I got a good kick out of the character. There's a second producer or something, not the guy, the girl that is on this trip.
Yeah,
I don't know who she is.
Yeah,
the medic. Okay. But they're sitting around the fire right before a good musical caroling time, and they just say, "What do you do if you come across a bear or whatever?" And she just does this whole "You gave me up!" This is the loudest she ever gets. It's the most she says the whole movie, and I just thought it was funny. So shout out to her. She did a great job. Dan?
I got wolf feels. The wolf looked like. I don't know if they had a trained wolf come on for the thing, but it didn't look like the normal CGI. I remember that Amelia Ullerup movie where the bear was just Yogi the bear. But this wolf looks like it's legit.
Big always has a wolf handy.
It is impressive that when they shoot all their movies in the same forest, they got wolves on call. They just call one out there.
On call.
But yeah, the wolf looked really, really good.
There you go.
There you have it. See,
that's a good looking wolf.
That's right.
Look at that wolf. That's a good looking wolf. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back, and we'll talk about the wait what's and the VH1.
VH1 one more.
VH1 more question.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Here on Deck the Homer. We're back, y'all. We're talking about adventures in Christmasing.
Adventures in baby.
I almost went adventure. That was my fault. That was my fault.
Adventures in Christmasing, baby.
Yeah, that's
I'm not prepared.
That's where I was going. Let's get to the wait what. Alonzo, anything in Adventures in Christmasing stick out and make you go, wait, what?
Oh, one or two. Again, a lot of this falls under the blanket of this is not how television or anything works.
Yeah.
But so, okay. She has no research team.
None.
She has to herself go and do all of the Googling, all the Googs to find out what the deal is with this guy. Does not have a staff, does not have any of that. or apparently even assistants to come fill her charity stockings. She says she has to do that by herself too.
If journalists refused to take interviews when they only had 24 hours notice, we probably wouldn't have some of the most famous interviews in our nation's history.
We wouldn't have journalism. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Frost Nixon, probably not a movie. It's absurd to think that she's like, can't do it. I've been waiting all my life, but can't do it. Not for sure.
When we find out that Finn is going to be on her show, like her makeup lady is thrilled, her brother and dad are thrilled, and yet the studio audience does not seem particularly excited about this. You'd think at some point they would have been directed, okay, this guy's a big star, you're super thrilled about it. They're all like,
There's literally one lady that they show that's just like this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like head down.
Like, really,
man.
tell your background that this character is somebody they're supposed to be excited about. The 100-year-old cabin. It is a given in these movies that whenever like somebody talks about grandma's heirloom ornament, they got it at Ross Dress for Less. But come on with the 100-year-old cabin already. That's not even. I'm surprised. I thought there was going to be Congolium on the floor. Like that's how not 100 years old that was.
It had electricity, Alonzo. They didn't turn it on, but that chandelier had light bulbs in it. Light bulbs were screwed into the fixture up there, and they're like 100-year-old cabin.
I mean, not to say that a 100-year-old cabin doesn't get renovated at some point, but like, there's nothing about any of that structure that looked like it was.
Gosh,
no. Okay, so she comes off the helicopter and immediately loses the dad's lucky hat, and then later, when she goes off on her own to forage for food and gets lost, she finds the lucky hat, which means that she has somehow gone in a complete circle. Right. Despite the fact that after the helicopter, they hiked for a very long time and went a very far distance
and couldn't turn back. Turn back.
So I was completely baffled as to the logistics of that, because like there was a river, there was like a lot of stuff, and suddenly, oh no, we're back at square one.
I had three the hallmarks, and that was one of them. So I'm glad you took it. But the woods have to be magic, because if for some reason she can get back to the drop-off point that easily by foraging for food, then what were they doing all movie? Like why did they do the rest of it?
Exactly. Yeah, there are clearly like dimensional portals opening up where they can go to the thing, and then I'm going to save that one for my VH1 more question. That's all I got.
I love that at her dad's house, he had a Christmas tree, or maybe it was her house. One of the houses had a Christmas tree so tall that the tree was literally bending at the roof. Did you notice this?
Yeah.
Which I was like, if you were me, if you knew better, you just cut the top right off. You wouldn't have to worry about that. Wouldn't have to worry about that.
You a trapezoid.
For someone who does this for a living, this survival thing, he is in so many compromising situations in this particular adventure. Like, he's never had an injury before. No. He goes into a cave that falls in. This guy, I don't know about this guy. Also, while we're at it,
she's a jinx, one of the two.
Yeah, or she's a jinx. While we're talking about Finn, are we like before they say who the biggest star is, they talk it up like it's the biggest star.
That's right.
Are we like, Bear Grylls is the biggest star in this universe?
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Michael Jordan, Oprah. There is no outdoor personality that is going to fit that bill.
Yeah,
none.
No, doesn't exist.
And even if he does in the world of this movie, again, you have this thing where like, if he's such a big deal, where's his team? Where is his satellite GPS monitoring team, and not just two people and Jonathan Silverman?
His team is with her research team. They all went and they never came back.
Never came back.
That's what happened.
My last one is when she shows the preview of the show that's going to be premiering on Christmas Day. That is going to do amazing. It's going to break records for Christmas night TV. They're showing shots, and I'm like, okay, this is looking good. And then they start showing shots that would have been impossible to get.
Yes, correct. Yes,
namely, the ones that are the two of them alone on top of the mountain getting ready for her to rappel down. because up until that point, they were lost. No one knew where they were.
They were there. Magic Forest.
Unless somebody in the helicopter is filming it and you're not hearing the helicopter. That's
that
the
is
only way
just
that even remotely works.
Just amazing. Dan?
Yeah.
And also, real quick, in the realm of like, this is not how TV works. She is doing a big live Christmas Eve special. And somehow the network thinks it would be a great idea for her to go spend 72 hours in the wilderness in the week between where this thing starts and Christmas Eve. Because again, what could she possibly need to be doing, in New York?
Well, especially when she, has such a big research team. That can do this
true.
stuff.
They got it covered. They're good.
I want to be clear, though. This is a special case because as Jonathan Silverman, Weekend at Bernie's, tells me, that a Christmas Day episode of an outdoor wildlife show will be a ratings bonanza. It is, if Oprah went on Bear Grylls and they aired it on Christmas Day, people would flock to the TV screens.
What else could you possibly be doing that day?
Boys, I know you want to open gifts, but listen. Look, I get it. Grandpa waiting, but we've got a show to watch.
Oprah versus Wild is on.
And from what I've gathered, they actually go missing and have no footage for 2 of the days.
That's right.
So I think it's going to be real chock full of good goods.
Yeah, and they just filmed it 2 days ago, so the editing is going to be choice. This is the worst run TV show of all time. Not the outdoors one. Her show is the worst. When she's supposed to have Finn time, she's like, please welcome out Finn, whatever his name is. And she looks like he's going to be on the screen. And then she looks at the producers and they're like, wait for it. And then he zip lines through the crowd to land on the stage, at which point the producers also look surprised. It is based upon our photographic evidence. No one, somehow he got hooked up with a zip line at the top of the thing and no one knew it was happening. Not the producers, not the showrunner. No one knew he was going to do it but him.
Every studio has a zipline cord ran and ready to go just in case.
Exactly. Look, if we know anything about Oprah's actual tenure in daytime television, it was all super loosey-goosey, and she just loved it when they sprang things on her.
Yeah, they're big on that. She's just like, just surprise me. I'll vamp.
Well, what the heck? I'm gonna yes and you, whatever it is.
We went over this in the hot take, but like, you would never do this to anyone. Like, not just someone that's not outdoorsy, but anyone. Like, you would never, with no training, go, hey, jump out of this helicopter. It'll be fun. Like, you would never do that. But I get the feeling that our lead agreed to it as long as she had the best potato chips on the planet, Lay's potato chips.
Thank you. Yes, I wrote that down.
You cannot eat just one, and they cannot get just one product placement because you get 2 scenes where she has a bright yellow bag of Lay's potato chips.
Lay's classic.
Just
camera,
chomping away.
always.
I mean, labeled a camera, just centered perfectly. It made Folgers look like a bunch of posers. Like, it was impressive.
I'm sure Campbell's was like, could they make a green bean casserole while they're in the wilderness? Is that a thing we can have
possible?
Happen?
Is that possible? I think my favorite scene of this movie, though, is the scene where the bird takes the fish. And there's a number of reasons why this is great. First of all, it's clearly a trained bird, which is fun that they didn't do green screen stuff. But the best is they catch 2 fish that somehow are dead. They catch two dead fish. So they have live bait and they reel in 2 dead fish that somehow got hooked by accident as they were floating with the current.
They lived a full life.
That's right. R.I.P. dead fish. And then they put them on the stone, and there's maybe 4 feet between these 2 human beings. And this bird lands on the rock in between them, a wild bird, just out of nowhere. Bold move. Birds typically don't land right beside you, and then grabs the fish and proceeds to fly away. But as the bird flies away, we have the 2 worst possible reactions to a bird taking your food I've ever seen. Option 1, jump in the freezing water and chase the bird. Birds can fly, lady. That's a bad move. That's on you. That's not on me. That's on you. That's dumb. But second, this guy talks to the bird like it is a trained bird. He says, no, drop it. Drop it. As if this bird has ever heard a human being talk before. Like, this is a wild bird, people. You don't go, no, drop it like it's your pet retriever. That bird is wild. You can't, that's as bad as jumping in the cold water and running after it. That scene was mind-boggling to me. We finally get Kel Mitchell late in this movie, and he's her brother, and he gets a scene with her where the dad is in the kitchen, and there's like a little bar, a countertop, and they're both sitting at these bar stools, and his stool is noticeably lower than hers, like a foot lower than hers. Like, his eyes are at like her shoulder level for this entire scene, and they just keep it that way. Like, they don't try to fix it. They don't try to get like a phone book and put it under. You should go back and check it out. It's impressive. The thing that I can't get past, though, is that she didn't have a change of pants. She has a book bag full of things. It's a 4-day camp. She gets in the water, and then Finn makes this huge deal about how your legs are going to freeze. It's bad for you. Do you mean to tell me in that entire backpack of Lay's potato chips and Neosporin, you didn't have one set of yoga pants? You can just roll that up. Like, I can't imagine having one change of clothes, and you've never done it before. Not a spare pair of pants. Are you kidding me right now?
And then on top of that, they start the fire just to get her dried off.
That's right.
And somehow the next day, pants are still wet.
That's right.
Pants are
still wet, and she goes back in the water again. And then it's the gun that actually never goes off, because we never hear about it again. We're just like, yeah, I guess she's good at adapting to the cold. I guess that's what happened.
Hypothermia, chafing, anything?
Yeah.
Come on.
Nah,
Are they
man,
velvet pants?
No.
What's going on?
No, good to go.
It's time for VH1 More Question, the part of the show we talk about what questions we still have after this movie. Alonso?
I would posit that if you fall in love with a talk show host and she decides to declare her love for you with a camera crew in tow, that's a red flag for a relationship. I think if you are two TV personalities falling in love and you want to like have a relationship that exists apart from your professional life, maybe don't declare yourselves on live television. It just seems like that's always going to be a thing of like, is this really a relationship, or is this all about ratings? It just struck me as colossally tacky. I don't know what they're thinking and why we're supposed to look at that as this like the big, like hearts and flowers moment at the end of the movie. It's like, yeah, if you want this moment to land, maybe don't do it in front of your audience. Just a thought.
And they cheer like it's something that's been building for years. When literally she met him 5 days ago.
Yeah. So I want to go back to pants real quick. Because this issue has more layers, if you will.
Oh my gosh.
And I will. Because we know she doesn't have another change of pants. They get to Hot Springs. And they strip down to their underpants.
That's right.
And all I can think of, she has another change of underpants? Because if not, she now has wet underpants and pants.
And wet pants.
This is a disaster. This is bad news.
Not for Adventures.
How is Rig not on this episode? I'm just curious.
I think he said he had a cigarette.
He's not allowed on Mondays.
Took off on a Vespa.
He's not allowed
came
on
back.
Mondays.
I don't know what happened.
It's just a disaster waiting to happen. I understand what's going on there. You can't have them get naked on VH1, but I was concerned. We have already got wet pants. I think the likelihood of you having any changes of anything is low. And so I was concerned. I was concerned because hot springs are only as hot as you are in them. Outside.
You got it. You understand how hot water works.
Second you get out. Woo.
Yeah. Am I wrong? I've never been on a 4-day camping excursion. Thank the good Lord above. But do you not take clothes with you to change into?
I don't know. I've never also.
Nor have I, but I'm going to guess yes.
Okay. All
at
right, so
least
I'm not.
4 underpants. Come on.
Yeah, at the very least,
At
one
very-
change of clothes,
Right.
like just in case,
Didn't-
just in case a brand intermittent fasting happens.
Absolutely. We've all been there. Bundle buzz.
That's right. Check it out. I have 2 questions for VH1 question. One is that did Kel Mitchell have scenes earlier in the movie that were cut out? Because the scenes that you see with him, so clearly they've established this relationship as the brother, but they just forgot to mention him early in the movie. So I feel like they probably cut some scenes out of this movie where he's in there early on, because he's 3rd on the credits. He's the 3rd guy listed on the credits.
Yeah, but
So-
that's because he's got a very good agent.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, he carries a lot of weight. Kel Mitchell does. And then second, who did Ludacris owe a favor to? He literally zoomed in from his, one of his basements or one of his giant, there's no makeup, there's no nothing. He's just there. He answers a question that makes no sense, and he's like, "I'm out of here." Somebody had to know somebody, right?
It's funny because this is a whole level of the movies I'm sure not even going for. But if you want a good chuckle, go back and watch the Oprah episode about the movie Crash, where she tries to give Ludacris a hard time for like cursing in his raps, and he's just like not particularly having it from Oprah. Like he's just sort of like, okay, sure, whatever. Like that's a really hilarious exchange. So when I saw him in this, I was like, oh, it's Ludacris on Oprah. Oh no, he's just somebody at Johnson knew Ludacris.
That's right. Somebody knew somebody.
Or they knew it was going to VH1, and Luda is like, owned by VH1 and MTV now at this point. I don't know.
Somebody at
why?
Viacom made the call.
Yeah, Viacom, they can make you come on to a movie via Zoom. If
But
they need
you
to.
knew what kind of movie it was when you saw him there, and you went, and then you saw the question he was asked,
Yeah.
and you were like, "Oh, they don't know what's going on."
Yeah. What a waste of Luda. We did it, everybody. Congratulations. One more left, and it's a spooky one, boys. Silent Night, AMC Plus. Get ready for it, everybody. Last one next Monday. Can you believe it?
I can, because we've got 40 more to cover, plus Netflix, plus Lifetime, plus the ones we missed. We're going to do, later. I'm sure we'll get around to the Family Matters one.
Okay, great. Until then, may we be the first to wish you a
Merry Christmas. Deck the Hallmark is the That Sounds Fun podcast. It's produced by Tracy Millis Name. It's recorded live in that Greenville, South Carolina. For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com.